Welcome to the Unofficial Tour Series 2, presented by Road to Glory. Tonight, it's round 6, and the racers are in Bath. 40.8 kilometres over 25 laps with 250 metres of elevation. This course is pretty much flat, but it's a very technical circuit as the racers go around the Georgian streets of the city centre. Starting on Great Pulteney Street, the racers will head through a couple of tight, twisting turns on the cobbled street of the Pulteney Mews, before re-emerging onto the main street, heading towards Pulteney Bridge, past the water fountain and roundabout on Argyle Street. Over the bridge, they'll loop around the Bath Abbey and the Guildhall, before heading back up and over the bridge and towards the start-finish line. Expect this race to be fast. Okay, let's head down into the pens and let's see how the action unfolds tonight. Looking at the A-Class riders, we've got McDonald from PDQ, Melville, the current series leader, Mitchell, Spiridonov, and then we have Lauriston, who unfortunately looks like he may be signed up in the wrong event. McDonald pushing the power early, getting himself a little gap. He's got a point to prove. First two races, he was leading the series. He then went into hospital, had a little minor leg operation. He's now back. And as I said, yeah, he's got a point to prove. Two laps in, and Spiridonov looks like he wants to test his legs. He's got himself a 30-metre gap. 5 watts per kilo. He's really putting the hammer down. He's tested Melville and McDonald behind. It'll be really interesting to see what happens here. Over in the Bs, we've got a group of about 15-16 riders pushing on at the front around this tight twisting circuit of Bath. So Bath is the largest city in Somerset, known of course and named after its Roman built baths, which was around 60 AD. Its abbey was founded in the 7th century, rebuilt in the 12th and 16th centuries. In the 17th century, Bath became popular as a spa town, as claims were made about the curative properties of its springs. There's going to be none of that for the racers tonight. These tight technical turns means that they're going to have to be on the ball every minute. No napping. You've got to be in the right position going into those corners, because when those brakes get slammed on, you need to be in the right place. And you've got to get that power on fast if you want to get back out the corner and maintain that race position. Back with Spiridonov in the A's, and he is pushing on ahead. 160 metres he now has as a gap. McDonald and Melville riding together in second and third place. They've also gapped themselves from Mitchell, who is now 400 metres back from the head of the race. As Spiridonov continues to increase his lead, it looks like Melville is happy for McDonald just to sit on the front. Maybe they've decided together that it's not worth chasing. However, 340 metres, potentially, if those two riders work together, they could maybe bring Spiridonov back. In with the A nows, and as they cruise down Pulteney Street, it's Barbera, series leader, who's taken the charge. He's caused a little bit of a separation here. You can see Goossens, who's currently in second place, has been gapped. He's now down into 17th place. But that little group, if they push together, they could make it back. They do only have about a 10-metre advantage. Panic's over, it all comes back together at the start of a new lap. There are one or two that are starting to drop off. And that's obviously what Barbera's intention was there. He's trying to stretch the legs. He's trying to, bit by bit, just wear down some of the other riders. Which, of course, when we come to the pointy end of the race, makes it a little bit easier if you've got less people to compete against.
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions. We'll get away. This is what we waited for.
Pledger pushing off the front here in the Bs. A move which, within the racers, got him a little bit of stick. People questioning whether or not he should be in the A's. A lot of chat over the watts per kilo threshold. Pledger coming back with saying he knows the limits, he's within the limits. And certainly, at the end of tonight's race, I think we'll probably see that he's under the threshold. However, What we would suggest, Alex, you're already a gold standard racer within the ELO ranking system on RGTDB. I would suggest that you move up into the A class for future races. The racing for the next few laps pretty much stayed as it was. Spiridonov in the A class, increasing his lead with McDonald and Melville riding together second and third. In the B class, the front group pretty much stayed constant. 14, 15 riders. There was one or two that dropped off the back as the laps progressed, but pretty much all the main players rode together, and it stayed that way until the end of the race. So certainly, let's jump ahead and look at some action later on. 25 kilometers into the race now, and here a little bit of drama. In the A class, Spiridonov. What's going on? He's down at 0 watts. And his rider is cruising very slowly to a standstill. Speaking to Spiridonov after the race, it turns out the RGT crashed. So he had an 800 meter advantage. By the time he gets the computer reset and logged back in again, McDonald and Melville have caught up. And as you can see in a second, Melville will also attack. A questionable move, but it certainly puts Spiridonov 100 meters or so off the back from those two. .5, 4.6 watts per kilo come from Spiridonov. He's really pushing. He wants to get that lead back. Melville attacks here. 7.6 watts per kilo. I think he senses that Spiridonov has got the bit between his teeth and he wants to make that separation. McDonald obviously has to step on the gas and has to chase. Spiridonov behind. 5 watts per kilo. He's not happy about this, you can tell. He really wants to get back into the hunt. A wee cheeky look back there from Melville. He sees that Spiridonov is closing. And again, steps on the gas, trying to maintain that gap. But Spiridonov has now got it down to under 60 metres. He is closing. There's 13.5 kilometres left in the race. At this point, Spiridonov is going to make it back. But let's see if Melville and McDonald have got anything left to give. "25 metres is the gap now. Spiridonov is closing fast. There we go, look at that. He's back on the wheel. This is some strong riding from the KRT rider. A small gap opening up again. Clearly, the effort to chase back on has taken it out of him. He's now got a 35 metre deficit to make up again. But he's done it once. Can we see him do it a second time? Back in the B's and with less than 10k to go, things are starting to heat up. Barbera, Hermans and PDQ Coach pushing off the front, trying to get a little bit of an advantage. Things are hotting up now in the A class. 7.5k to go. And after a couple of yo-yos on and off the back, Spiridonov is now back on the front. McDonald in chase and Melville actually finding himself getting gapped a little bit. So all three riders really pushing hard now. 7k to go. It's all to play for. McDonald's blown. McDonald's blown. He's off the back, 80 metres, and looking at his watts per kilo, he's decided that's enough. As we said at the top of the show, he did have a leg operation earlier last week, so potentially he's saving himself now He's got to the point where he's had a good race, and now it's time to ease off. In the Bs, we're coming up to the final lap. We've got PDQ Coach, Goosens, Miller, Nagy, Barbera, Dring. They're all there in the front group. Okay, so we're coming up to the Flamme Rouge now. 1,000 metres to go. It's all tight together at the front of the Bs. Who's going to hold their nerve? Who's going to take the attack on? Herman's currently in the front, followed by Barbera. Ogilvy coming through. Dring's there. 800 metres to go. Hermans is falling backwards. Ogilvy now to the front. 600 to go. Miller coming through. Nagy's there. They're all jostling for that front position. Who's going to take the sprint? Who's going to open up first? Over in the A's, 1 kilometre to go. Melville's attacking Spiridonov. He wants this win. Back to the Bs, 400 to go now. They've passed that tiny little dip, and now the speed should be increasing. Dring is off, 250 metres to go, 12.6, 12.9 watts per kilo. Herman's behind him, 10, 13 watts per kilo for Dring. He's got an 8 metre advantage. Here comes Barbera, 50 metres to go. Barbera's over the front, and Pledger takes it on the line. Perfect time sprint there from Pledger. Back in the A's. 600 metres to go. Melville's got a 5 metre advantage. He's pushing hard. 6 watts per kilo. 13 metres. 16 metres. 6.6 now from Melville. 400 metres to go. He's really pushing. 10 watts per kilo now. Melville's pushing hard. Spiridonov, he's got nothing left. 7 watts per kilo he's got. But he's competing against 9 watts per kilo from Melville. 200 metres to go. 25 metres. Can he make it back? 20 metres. 19, 18, 14. 11 metres. Spiridonov's coming back. Has he got enough space? Melville takes the wing just in front of Spiridonov. So there's the results for the B. Alex Pleasure takes top spot, 0.034 seconds in front of Rick Barbera in second. PDQ Coach comes from behind to take third, rolling Steve Dring, who opened up the sprint first, into fourth place. Ogilvy in fifth. We've got Nagy in sixth, Brian Xert in seventh, Rob Miller eighth, Matthias Goosens, who is currently lying second, in ninth, and then Tom Hermans rounding out the top 10. Over in the A class, that man, James Melville, does it again. 4 wins out of 5 races. 0.56 seconds in front of Edgaris Spiridonov. He came so close to making up that gap. And of course, remember, The tail of the tape is all about Spiridonov, 800 metres in front. RGT crashed. Melville caught up. He then attacked. Spiridonov got back on after having a gap of 200 metres to make up. He came so close to getting that victory back. Should Melville have attacked? That's for you to decide. But that's your top two. Melville in first. Spiridonov in second. McDonald just crossing the line there in third. So looking at the GC results. In first place with an emphatic victory, James Melville, 485 points. Chris McDonald in second, 292 points. Alistair McAlpine, who didn't race tonight, is in third. Mike Lister fourth. PDQ Coaching fifth. Fleming back in sixth. Joint with Raul Lopez and Edgar Spiridonov. Jorgen Van Bers and Jerome Berube in ninth. Over in the Bs, Rick Barbera, again, outright winner, 276 points. He cannot be caught. Matthias Goossens, second place. Paul Dring, who again didn't race tonight, in third. Gabor Nagy, fourth. Rob Miller up into fifth. Alex Pledger in sixth. Julian Fussell in seventh. Simon Miller in eighth. Steve Dring in ninth. And then Simon Russell rounding out the top 10. So that is race number 6. Join us next week when we'll be on the Portsmouth Circuit for the final race in the unofficial tour series presented by Road to Glory. Thanks very much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing. We'll see you soon.